No, I understand. It was wise of you to bring them here, Count. They'll receive the best treatment in all of Ustalav. Early signs of bleaching. This is the response to stimulus. An Iron Fang veteran? Ah, I think I recognize this. Her eyes betray much. Now, for their admission records, may I have their names?
Welcome back, everybody. Regardless of our circumstances, our horrible stress, these events of the past day or so in the asylum, hoping every one of you watching and at the table here, you're going to have an undeniably good time today. Last week, we had level 2. We got our character sheets recovered. We know our stats, we know our numbers, we know our builds. You level up yourselves. You have taken the reins now. And in character, in the asylum, you have caught your first break. You have killed Dr. Oatesday, a name that you have heard several times. Whether they are the bespoke leader of these space stealers, these doppelgangers, they are a powerful influence here in the area that has been a concern for some time. With her dead, with seemingly the whole of these northern maintenance areas free of the influence of these creatures, there is some semblance of safety here. And with that, you had a moment to rest in a degree of safety, a brief window free of worry, where you could tend to your wounds, bandage up from your fight, heal yourselves, but also discover some small amount of identity. We left off last week in the linen area, in the laundry, where a huge assortment of things were left, both from the staff, their uniforms, their personal clothes, and from some of the long-term patients as well. So many things here. 1 second. But that gave us an opportunity to express ourselves. You see, the smocks have gone. We have found some things. I don't think anyone is going to miss them at this point.
I haven't missed mine since episode 1.
You threw yours away immediately.
Gotta show off the guns.
I'm not wearing this crap. Get this off of me.
Well, it's more like I'm bleeding profusely from the chest. Please stop.
That's how we have this, though. This is why we have Easy's nice gauze headband. He's ready. He carries a quick deployment.
The sweat is for extra adhesiveness.
It helps it kind of... The salty tang from the sweat really just like helps close the wound.
The sting means it's working.
Exactly.
We have an anonymous hero point. Since I missed last week, here's for Cammy's forgetfulness. Take a hero point, Cammy. Whoa! And from Kaga, a little reward for finding yourselves a hero point for everyone except you, not you. The other 4 of you.
How am I supposed to spend them
I don't
recklessly?
blame him. I mean, I kind of want to see him get the
last
10.
week. Oh my gosh, I'm rich.
We have some people reasonably close. We have some
I'm
stress
rich
coming.
beyond my wildest dreams.
But as we come into today's adventure, we have been in the laundry and the linens for some time. You have had time to look through the area, to pick through what was available, to find some pieces, some bits, some lab coats, some jackets, some things that you liked. Build, again, just a semblance of identity. You can't remember anything about who you were. That's still gone. But you have some control over who you are. You have healed up. You have tended to yourselves. It's probably been about an hour since Dr. Oatesday fell. and you get the feeling that it's probably time to move on. Whoever gave us that last tip there from Anonymous with no text, I see it's a hero point. It's 4.
Take it.
Tell us who that's for. I can't see it.
I lay claim to it.
There's no words on it.
It's probably Derp since he got
I
it
would
down.
assume
Take
it's
to the
probably Derp, but I can't see. Anyway, you head back out into the long hall, down towards the barricade, where you had left about an hour ago. Voston York, still just standing there, bow slung over his shoulder, looking across the group of you as you approach. Do you bring Outstay with you?
Sure. Yeah. 100%.
We needed to bring 3.
Now, you have some other things down in the furnace area below, but due to the layout of the asylum's halls, you pretty much have to go by the barricade to get there. The door is like 15 feet in front of the barricade, so York would certainly hail you, bringing the corpse of yet another doppelganger behind you before you had an opportunity to head back out and back down to the forge area. Well, that was the original deal. Winter can't argue with that now. That's 3.
And according to the one in the basement, that's all of them.
You look like you had a bit of a tough time with that one. You all right?
Physically, no.
A hero point was in fact for Derp.
I think.
Also from Kaga, by the way, is memeing with everyone.
Oh.
Followed it up with the one for you.
Yeah, this one you magic. It was pretty bad.
I can't say I've had a worse day than this. This is probably the worst day in recent memory. It's a joke.
I see you. It's the only day in recent memory.
Because we can't remember anything. Yeah.
She gets
You
it.
got it. You get it.
We got there.
Yeah. It's a good joke. Good
the
joke.
worst
It's a good joke.
Day, because Oath Day. Triple.
Look
It's
at
the third one.
Look at this guy. This guy over here.
His face kind of falls a bit. I don't know. I don't claim to have any real understanding of what's happened here, what's going on, but I still don't. I can't believe that this thing is Dr. Oatstay. She was, I worked with her frequently. She was the rehab head. She oversaw much of those operations. She was a wonderful woman. She poured her heart and soul into this place.
I think something happened that changed a lot. Like, the rehab wing is apparently infected by ghouls now. Like, there's undead. There's
Yeah. So, I suppose it's probably easy to just have Winter explain everything to you. There's a lot going on here that we haven't, well, I guess, fully explained. First, because we couldn't. We didn't want to tell you anything in case you were face dealing. And there just really hasn't been much, well, opportunity here. What about the other two? The other face dealer and Orman. You took him down to the furnace, right?
down to the basement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Furnace area.
You hear
Didn't we leave one with the group?
Yeah, well, one should be.
you left Orman here, right? It's
Yeah, one should be with you
stop
guys.
them. So what about the other?
You don't know where he is, then.
What about
Yeah.
So what about the other
Ooh, yeah.
downstairs?
I mean, if
He's
you-
gonna stay there.
He's serving time.
Fair enough. Well, come on in. Winter's back by the curtain, just prepping for Denman's rights still.
Oh, we should probably bring Compra and have his rights too.
Oh, he's okay. I assumed he was lost or gone or
No,
worse state than him.
It got interrupted with the whole like big blob and everything, and the
I didn't
bullying.
know what had happened to him. But yeah, if that's possible, I'm sure. And she'd be happy to perform it for anyone that she could.
I'll take a peek out the door and see if it's still raining hot magma.
Looking outside the door, you would see rain coming down still, but it does seem to be much lighter. Sticking a hand out into it, it doesn't feel like it's going to burn off all of your skin. It doesn't seem like it is as immediately dangerous anymore. Whatever was going on with that seems to have largely passed. We're free from the horrible fire.
How about that giant lump of flesh that they pulled outside?
That is definitely still just kind of in a corner. For lack of anywhere better to put it, really, and with how big and hard it is to move, it's just sort of maybe 8 feet out around the door, piled against the wall. Now a little steamed.
Still dead though. That's important.
Still very dead.
I'll bring his body over then.
As you come back in, brief effort to bring Compra's body. The group of you come back around behind the barricade, and York just steps back out of the way and nods over towards the angle of the hall, heading wherever it is you want to head. The church door is across from that. You would see Winter knelt down on the ground with what just appears to be a simple bed sheet pulled up over this lump that is certainly what's left of Denman. She has forgone her black cloak and her gloves, but looks otherwise much the same as you'd left her. And she's kneeling down, hands on her knees, head bowed. Pair of books on the ground next to her, one open and sealed, but not seemingly looking at anything. You can hear a voice and giggling. What sounds like laughter of children from the other side of the southern door at the angle of this hallway. Just barely through the thin wood. Winter doesn't immediately move as the group of you come around, clearly audible as you are. If she notices, she makes no sign of it.
Well, Winter, we're done. And we brought Compra.
Thank you. Pray, leave him here as well, I suppose.
Also brought a bunch of clothes, sheets, rags.
She kind of straightens up a bit and pushes herself up and just sort of shifts. Doesn't stand, but turns to face you a bit more. And thank you as well. There are many needs of man, and succor is provided not simply through food and water. I'm sorry this has taken me so long. When I was up at the Priory, in Caliphus, we performed a great many funeral rites for various people that had been brought in. It was one of the major services that our cloister provided, as Pharasmans, after all. I always wondered why. Obviously not the purpose of the rites, I understand that, but why people would bring them to us rather than perform them themselves or with their local congregations at home. But I see it now. It's much more difficult with someone you know. I know it's for the best. It's to will him long and ensure that Denman's soul is properly received by the Grey Mother that passes through the River of Souls untainted, regardless of what he may have been exposed to here in this life, but I haven't quite found the courage to put it through yet. Well, I made you an offer and you've more than fulfilled it. I wanted to apologize to all of you for rejecting you in the first place. If there's nothing, anything that I've learned from Denman's fate this morning, it's that for all of our caution and all of our fear, it meant nothing. These creatures are beyond our understanding. If they wanted it, they'd have it. The only thing we managed to do was turn away those seeking aid. And I can hope again that the lady forgives me for my choices. You hear that, York? You were right. You just kind of, well, they're alive, so no harm, I suppose.
It seems likely that, you were originally the purpose of us going down that way was to clear the level, and make it possible for you to go further than this barricade. I would say to the most of certainty that we could really have, given the circumstances, that you could now do that and be able to go as far as we've gone to the laundry room.
This is good. Clean bedding certainly won't lower spirits. I think many will be glad to have it. There's been little laundry we've been able to do. We've little access to water or space to do it. Of course, we're not going to use these facilities, but we can replace much of what is soiled or needed.
How long ago did all this happen for you?
This,
I mean, for us too, but you know how.
I understand. This collapse, everything, the riots, they were 3-4 days ago now, I believe. Still recent, but it's impressive how fast you find wanting when there's nothing you're able to gain. Well, you're more than welcome to the safety of the chapel. I'll watch over you as I have the rest, and you look like you have taken some injuries in my stead. Soon, when Sext comes in some hours, with the liturgies out after the prayer, I provide some healing for the congregation. Of course, now that you're here, that will be available to you as well. There are many that need it, so I'm afraid I can't. I have to use it very sparingly. I don't pretend to know the whole of the situation here, but I found my connection to this font fading, as though whatever this is interposing somehow. But I'm certain this is a failing of my own, not of the Grey Ladies.
Well, whatever you have to spare. These are the ones that need it. The rest of us are fine.
It's provided to all. All who are present within the chapel shall partake of the blessings of the Grey Mother. But you seem like you have done well to tend to them. You came here, you've brought yet more with you. I'll provide services for this compra, you said? And I'll see to the disposal of the space shifter as we have the rest. If you could, there are many in that door that still need aid. You need not bear arms, you need swing no sword, but we need firewood. We need food now with the loss of Denman. We need what succor you can provide. Pray, aid those within. Mesa is very much stretched beyond her limit. I only wish we could have found any of the proper doctors to join us. Not to speak ill of Malika's abilities, of course, but she is one lady.
We'll see what we can find.
This eve, after Vespers, I'll answer any questions you have. I'll explain everything that I know. But until then, during the day, there is much to do. I don't know that you'll find your time back here much easier than what you've been through on the other side of the barricade, but I hope you'll at least find it less deadly.
Well then, I'm gonna head into the chapel, offload all these clothes.
I'd like to spend time ferrying supplies from those closets just down the hall. It's not much, but it'll help.
Just literally walk in the middle of the chapel, open the rucksack.
Blop. What the rest of you?
I think I'll just kind of head inside, over to the chapel.
You said the children were laughing like right in the chapel, like
No, on the southern door in the hall.
southern door in the
Different
hall.
chamber
Oh,
from the
okay.
chapel.
Oh.
That's the one she was mentioning, people that need assistance in that direction as well, or in the chapel?
She was pointing to the chapel, but she didn't really give any specifics. I mean, she listed a couple of things, but
So as you're like trying to go into the chapel, I'm gonna like sort of grab you by the scruff of your coat. And be like, hey, hey, I have an idea. Come with me. And I want to go into the room. I want to go into the room where the kids are.
okay.
And imagine.
How old do you think I am?
What? And like, I imagine I'm gonna walk in and like, what are the kids doing when I like walk in there? What are they?
We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna help cook since they're one down.
All right.
I'll help.
So as we split, I will start with you two here. You open this southernmost door into what looks like it was once a small office, similar to many of the others, but the damage on this end of the asylum here in this area is much less severe. The chapel is fully intact. This place looks like it's pretty okay, but there's a battered desk that's sort of been pushed back against the wall just to your left as you come in the door, the surface of which looks like it has been covered in some rather chunky and crude folded paper animals. Some of them are more just kind of crumpled wads than anything you can
It's a
immediately
cloud.
tell what they are supposed to be. On the top, this is called a ceiling when you're inside. On the ceiling, the top of the room, there's a word. On the ceiling, there is a wide black and gray painted fresco of a spiraling comet, gray against the night sky. A near identical symbol to the one Winter wears around her neck and the one behind the pulpit at the far end of the main chapel. On the floor, where much of the area has been cleared away, you can see there are a couple of little objects, a few colorful blocks, some dyed bits of chalk, several drawings just across the stone gray tiles of the floor itself, and two of the children that are sitting together over what looks more or less like a chessboard that looks like it does not really have quite enough pieces on it, and also they're not chess pieces. There's
Right.
just some various little scattered tokens, simple geometric shapes. A couple look like they have come perhaps from a game set. A couple look like they've just been whittled out of little errant pieces of furniture. There is a little boy who looks to be maybe 6 years old, who has a little paper lantern just sat on the floor next to him, sitting next to the board, who was laughing and pointing at something there next to a girl who's probably 5, also just kind of giggling along with him. And sitting next to them is Tolman, the gnome that you had seen in the chapel before. He's got a big smile on his face, and it's kind of hilarious with him standing up, bent over, hands on his knees. He's a little bit taller than the 8-year-old who is sitting on the floor. He is not a large guy, but he hears the door open and turns to the group of you, a big smile on his face. Hey, come on in.
I run inside. I move one chess piece forward a space. I say, checkmate.
As soon as you move it, the girl looks up, like her face freezes for a second, and just starts screaming.
Checkmate. Checkmate. What?
Screaming. And Tolman scrunches his eyes shut. He's like, well, if you give Brenton a moment, I'm sure he can explain the rules of the thing they're doing here to you. I'm not quite sure there are any, but they seem to think there are. And he moves him back. Look, it's okay. No harm, see? And
I'm just gonna be like, hey, show them your lizard.
as we do that, on the top of her head, it just kind of appears, sitting there, one eye on each child, as his head just sort of turns to the side, looking across him. And a little boy, his eyes go wide, and he's like, the little girl immediately looks up and just like knocks half the board over, just sort of climbing across it, just
Oh my
reaching for the lizard on your head.
See,
Like-
it's the source of my power.
Tolman,
It's the source of my power.
Tolman puts his hands up. Let's here, I'll leave you two for a moment here. We need to discuss some things for Mother Winter for a brief moment. and he just sort of like physically pushing Cammy a little bit away towards the other end of the room and just sort of gesturing for Keys to follow, hurriedly shepherding the three of you back out the door into the hallway. And he closes it behind you. Oh,
That's a really tall 8-year-old.
oh, by Shaylin, this. Oh. Sorry, I don't believe we've been properly introduced. I saw you in the chapel briefly last evening, so I assume Winter trusts you. Totally, Elise.
I am called Cammy.
Keys.
And as we get to hear now where dice may become relevant for some, I don't know, possibly diplomacy checks in the future, I just want to let you know that while we were doing this, literally everybody got baned, and then everybody got re-blessed. So, Giga baned everybody, was TNT DMD. And then slowly the chat has been flipping it back over to blesses.
Wait, who was flipped last? I want to know who the chat loves the most.
Do you want to know who was flipped last?
Oh no! It's not looking good.
I'm neither the best nor the worst.
Knowledge is power.
It is you.
I thought Arcade is doing it.
We got some signals on the side there. We know.
Oh,
We know it's-
handling it. Okay,
yeah.
He's been getting it.
I don't like
I just want to call it out.
Hey, like props to AZ for not being
That's
last.
true. They're
Yeah.
not talking on you that much.
Yeah.
You
I think I just painted a
yourself.
target on
Gets
your back.
back.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're the ones.
Goes to the-
No, I know. You're the ones that Denman was talking about. He seemed to believe quite fervently that he just sort of looks over to Winter and the shape. Winter's like she knows. He kind of pauses and sighs. It's okay, Tolman. Like, right. Well, sorry. I'm just, did you need something of me? I just,
No, I thought that the third like sad kid was gonna be in that room. I was looking to like cheer him up.
We've heard of a third sad kid.
oh, no,
Her tale.
well, normally we would have tried to take Bates in here, but he's, suffered a little bit of an injury. I don't know when, but he hid it from us fairly well, and it's taken a little bit of a turn for the worse. So he's with Erwin in the chapel. It seems a little bit more than simple magic can patch up, and well, without any of the proper doctors here, we've got a couple of basic triage. Boston knows what he's about, and Mace is pretty good at things, but I think his leg might actually be fractured. That's, well, don't really have much to spare for splinting or knowledge on how to do it properly. We've got nothing for the pain, but, well, that's what it is, I suppose.
We didn't mean to
Strike a chord or.
Oh, it's okay. That's
distract your game.
That's just Maeve. Honestly, you'll sort of learn to love it. She is very much the spirited soul that she is.
Anyway, we'll let you get back to that, and then we'll like, turn and like go towards the chapel.
Meanwhile, you two, as you would have walked back up to get more of these clothes to do your large run, Trey and MD to bring supplies back in and stack up the chapel as well as you can. Walking past Boston, the barricade, he'd sort of stop you for a moment. Hey, probably sound like a bit of a broken record here, but really, I didn't necessarily agree with Winter's choices, but I need to know that you at least understand why she did what she did. It's I've said it before, I'll say it 100 times. She's got a good heart. Don't hold it against her. She's doing what she can to keep this together. We've lost a lot of people, and whatever it takes to not lose anymore.
To be honest with you, we wake up in a situation we don't understand a single thing. Her reaction is the one thing I do understand. Keeping the people you know are safe is important.
Where are you headed? Is there more to be done up here?
There's supplies.
And pointing at the couple doors that you can. I don't know if
see-
he can see them,
It's
but I
pretty
can
far
see
down
them.
the hall, but you can see them. Yeah, it's also the darkness for him.
Couple doors down there. Cleaning supplies. Maybe useful chemicals.
Well, if you've cleared this of the face shifters, I'll come with you. Not much point in manning the barricade if it's the man it against, I suppose.
The only door in here,
Point at the one right there that goes out into the courtyard.
as far as we know, there's nothing out here.
Winter, I'm gonna help them fetch more things from the linens. Lead the way.
We'll just walk down the hall a little ways, preferably bringing a light source for him.
He's got a lantern. He'd
Okay.
grab one as they come through.
The image of it is walking into darkness, and then walking back, and then walking into the darkness, and then walking back.
This has been a large part of your last day. Yes, it's just kind of in and out of the shadows for him. You've had Easy's lantern with you, so you've been like visible as you go at least. Speaking of, as you head into the chapel, stepping inside, you see things much the same as they were before it. Being the morning, there is a deck of cards where a couple of the people in here seem to be sitting down playing a game amongst each other. The older woman that you had seen at the barricade briefly before, a younger red-haired girl with a pretty narrow face, very bright eyes, freckles across her cheekbones, sitting down as well next to Erwin, the elfin woman that you had seen when the barricade was attacked.
The one that got hurt.
Who was like participating, just still like laying down on this pile of cloth, but with a hand of cards just kind of held up against her chest. One other of the children, an older one who looks maybe 11 or 12, is laying near them. Looks to be asleep. The only other figures that are in here at the moment are a lady who is off by herself at the other side, not kind of just around a little bit of a corner. You've got this chapel comes in and opens up into two wings and then has the main pulpit ahead of you. This is all up in the left wing. Just a little bit around the corner close to the door is this another older woman, her face pretty visibly wrinkled, streaks of gray through once black hair and a big sort of ragged bun, just sort of haphazardly.
That's the one by herself?
Yes, just kind of around the corner, sitting just sort of watching this card game from a distance. And on the other wing, on the right side, you see the older man who is kind of backed into a corner by Nasa, by the elven woman that was the guard before, who like literally has her hands out like she's playing defense, trying to stop this dude from bolting past her. She's not like up in his face. There's a couple of feet between them, but she's just over there by herself. The chapel is very quiet. She's saying something over there. There's some conversation around the game.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna approach Nasa.
You come over and
cornered man.
as you get a little bit closer, she hears your footsteps approach and turns. Hi.
Everything okay?
Well, now, Loic here needs to take his medicine. And he's being a little bit resistant at the moment. I'm just trying to make sure he doesn't run out into the hall. He's wouldn't be the first time. The guy who's just standing kind of at the corner, hands up to his chest like he's holding something, but you don't see anything that he has.
Loic's holding something?
What?
Loic's holding something?
Loic, yeah,
Okay.
both hands up to his chest like he's holding something, kind of hunched over. He doesn't stand super straight. He is clearly the oldest man here. He's got like liver spots across his face, the hairlines about behind his ears, missing a couple of teeth visible in his mouth as he talks. Colby getting a hero point from Nate's Meg 1995.
Oh.
Take that.
Yeah.
No, it's I have no, I'll take it in a minute. It's I need to go see my sister. And it's just like your sister, she's talking to Mother Winter outside right now. So like she'll be in here in a moment, please. And she just sort of looks over to you. I can handle this.
Go to Loic. He's like, look, do you like jokes, Loic?
Of course. Are there any who don't enjoy good humors?
You heard the one. There's one about a dog who was covered in flour, right? He refused to step in the shower.
This flour for baking, or
Yeah,
like
for
he
baking, yeah,
run
he was
through a
covered.
field. Because I had a dog once, and when we took him out, he ran through the long grass and came back just
So messy.
covered in these little bright stickers. I still remember it like it was yesterday. But Nasa's like, he means well. He really does. It's just. And she just kind of points to her ear. Look, please, if you can just focus for a minute, I'll have Mother Winter explain everything to you in a moment, but I need you to take this. And she just sort of shovels a little bit towards you, extending out her other arm. It's an injection, so I need to get him to hold still for this.
All right. I'm gonna give Loic a big hug and be like, Loic, I'm new here. You probably just met. Is it right if I just give you a quick hug? I like to hug people I meet.
Sure.
Yeah.
You seem like a very nice young fellow.
Yeah. So I'll give him a quick hug, a nice squeeze so he doesn't move, and I'm like, all right. I'm easy,
So-
Loic. It's nice to meet you.
So you hold him, and he just sort of like leans into it for a minute and just kind of nods. And then Nasa puts one hand down and like reaches toward a pocket, and he like, you feel his head turn, and he immediately starts like sort of wiggling. And she's like, I don't quite know that's going to work. Look, normally I can calm him down. It takes me a moment. Look, can you distract him? Can you distract him?
Yeah, I'm gonna start playing a little bit. I'm gonna start plucking. See if it's like, all right, how about you like a nice tune, Loic, and I'll pluck the same story about the dog with the flower. If you
So-
in the shower.
You distract him with what would be a diplomacy check here, but due to your versatile performance as a bard with your violin, you can just make this as a performance check for me.
Oof. I'm gonna use it.
Yeah. He's worth it.
We're so much better at killing monsters
come on, there
than
we go.
making people happy.
Murder. Murder's our strong suit here.
Yeah.
16 plus 8, 24.
24. Oh, 24 is absolutely going to succeed at this. So as you pluck away and are talking to him here, he still tries to interrupt another couple of times. His attention is sort of everywhere, and his view keeps turning towards the door to the chapel, like he hears something. It's not like he's just sort of drifting, and like someone called his name, and he just reactively sort of looks over. He takes a stab a couple of times, and Nasa just sort of shifts and interposes herself. But after a few minutes of this, his attention is focused more and more on you. And as you get there, Nasa again just slowly reaches down and into her pocket and pulls out a small little metal apparatus with a big flask on the back and a small little needle sticking out of the front, a couple of little like levers and pedals across it. And the two of you get him to sit in this corner, and with you continuing this tale at this point, as this is the scene that Keys and Cammy would see as they come into the chapel. This over in the corner with the two of them just kind of kneeling down with this old guy sitting. And as you're coming in, as it's happening, one of the figures, the red-haired girl, kind of stands up from this card game and is sort of working her way over towards them, but then the door opens, sees the two of you, and she turns and just has this huge smile on her face and just hurries over towards the pair of you. And she has her head cocked to the side a little bit, almost like a dog. Huge smile on her face. Hi, are you the ones that Damon's been talking about? I'm Baisley. Baisley Harbor.
Maisley?
Baisley.
Baisley. I'm Cammy.
Keys. That's a name, sort of.
Oh my gods, there's still more people out there. I had started to think we were the last ones left in the world.
Oh, the world's pretty big, so yeah. There's a couple of us crawling around.
Oh my gods, it is great to meet new people here. This is fantastic. Come join us.
What do
Play
you,
3 count.
3 count?
3 count.
How you-
Easy, we can teach you. You can just watch around and then come in.
Sure.
Okay, how do you play?
And she leads the two of you back over to this group at the side. About now, York, Trey, and MD are coming back from their journey to the ends of the earth, or the ends of the 70-foot hallway, with as much clothing as the group of you could hold between this little rucksack and in your arms across your shoulders. You got a pretty good bounty between the three of you. Bed sheets, just clean changes of clothes, socks, pillows, everything you guys could find in there. Hauling it back in.
Imagine a world without socks.
Yeah.
You do have that endless pouch. You just put the whole room.
So you find the pouch is very much not endless. In fact, the capacity it has is fairly limited. It's maybe about the size of like 3-4 backpacks. Like, it's definitely magically enhanced, but like a bag of holding, this is not. Something like a much, I mean, I guess it literally is, but like a smaller, scaled down
I have
version
it
of the
written
thing.
down as the rucksack of lots of stuff.
Okay. We have the bag of holding, and its son, the rucksack of lots of stuff. Like the rucksack of some stuff, probably, perhaps, is a better.
More stuff than a regular bag.
More stuff than a regular backpack.
TM.
That's accurate. And as you guys are out there,
The less capacity, the larger the name.
York is asking a lot of questions of you. He knows you don't remember, so it's not so much about your past. It's literally about like the last day here. You end up on the topic eventually, talking about these monsters and the things that you've been through of this nightmare, this shared nightmare that you guys have had. And Boston sort of nods, yep, I heard that one a lot, actually. That's not the closest thing to a commonality that we've all got here at this point.
It's a weird one for sure.
And some of the people that we had here before, and what little we were able to talk with the apostles, don't worry about that. This is a long story, and it's probably better told by Winter if you don't want to get confusing information. A lot of them had more things in it, so you didn't see any of these face shifters, any of these undead, these zombies. None of those were in your dreams? Because they were in a lot of people's.
No, it was just a tattered man.
Yeah, this town, this tower, this tattered man with the razor, but seemingly everyone else in the town were these monsters, these abominations, these horrible things. I don't know, I've heard a lot of different varieties of it, but they've all got a lot of these strange common threads.
The weirdest thing that wasn't is we saw a girl with half a face staring into a mirror where she looked fine, but she looks like she tore half her face off.
Supposedly, we're all there in each other's dreams. We can't see each other, though.
I've heard that. I've heard of the barmaid with no face. I've heard of the fishmonger who just finger by finger cut through his own hands. But a lot of disturbing things coming through whatever these nightmares are, but I don't know. I've never really been much for superstition, but it's a little too weird to ignore, isn't it?
Oh, it was just a bad dream until he showed up in the real world and tried to kill us there. It's more than a nightmare.
Yeah, that's the one that worries me.
He doesn't seem to like us very much.
He's mad we're not dead.
A few people from a few days ago had claimed to see him in the flesh as well. You're not the first there either.
Have you had the nightmare?
Can't say I have, no. In fact, I don't think any of us have. Except, what was it? Denman. Denman had. And I think Danae had spoke of something similar. But that was in the beginning, right after the riots and everything. Not recently, no. At least they haven't spoken of it. No. Not that Danae speaks of much.
It's just strange. I don't have any experience to pull from for this. I can't seem to piece it in my mind, but the people who've had the nightmares seem to have gone through changes mentally, physically. I don't know. I think all the face sealers had the nightmare too before they became that form. And it just drove them over the edge.
Everyone who's been able to talk and change has talked about the nightmare.
Look, I've been to the world wound. I spent the better years of my life in the service, first love, fighting back against the demonic incursions, and I was pretty confident that some of what happened out there was the worst I was ever going to see. I don't really want to think about something worse than that being in my own hometown. In my job. I work here. This is where I live. It's not the world wound. It's just a place. It's just a town. It's just Rushmore. It's I don't know. At this point, you're coming around and into the chapel, and you hear Winter still where she is, now reciting prayers back around that corner. As he pushes in the doors again to this large chapel with two of your friends over on one side, having 3 count explained to them, sitting in a group of basically everybody. And you and Nasa at this point have finished up giving this medicine to Loic. And as she wraps this up, just a small bit of gauze over where she had to run the injection, he seems to calm down pretty dramatically over the course of just a couple of minutes. And she smiles at you. Thank you, Easy. It's your bedside manner is impressive. You should have worked for us, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be of help now. We got clothes. Maybe next we can get more medicine. I mean,
Well-
supplies of those probably.
I can handle him from here. He's been my patient for a couple of years, and he should be good now. I don't need to keep you all day.
I don't got nothing.
I mean, you're welcome to stay if you want. But
yeah, I think we're staying for dinner and stuff.
well, I mean, you're going to be here, obviously. But I meant like, no, it's okay.
Have you, his sister, have like y'all have heard? Like, was she here at the asylum too? Did she try?
All right, look, you, and she puts the hand just up kind of on his brow, brushes hair back a little bit. You rest here a moment, okay? We're gonna go talk to Mother Winter and to make sure everything outside is okay. He just kind of smiles. It looks like he's having kind of difficulty keeping his eyes open at this point. And she stands up and just walks you a couple steps away. He's here for the trauma of he hasn't taken the loss of his sister terribly well. He still hears her calling out to him, speaking to him. It's what he was being treated for, and he's much better now. Usually, as long as he doesn't have to go quite so long between his doses, he's much better at being able to tell the difference between, who's here talking to him and these kind of auditory hallucinations. He's gonna be all right, but she's been gone for years and years.
Right. And he's not your only patient here, right? You have other.
I guess he is now. He's the only one that was from the ward that I worked in for my wing. Yeah.
At the rehab ward? Or?
No, we were third floor. He was just. I mean, there wasn't. I mean, rehab's good for everyone to some extent, but he mostly just needed more direct therapy and medication. I was just his day nurse. I fed him. I changed his bed sheets. I took care of him. Pretty much everyone here, Briarstone doesn't really do short-term patients, but he was third floor. He was expected to, live the rest of his life here.
Oh, well. A lot of us are kind of expecting to live the rest of our lives here.
Well, no, well, as long as they keep paying me. But no, I don't know. Winter has, well, she seems convinced that, well, there's a way out. We're not going to be. There has to be. If we can get to the front door, we can leave. There has to be something. But
Yeah.
there's
just that big eyeball.
the eye and the collapse to rehab. We can't get to any of the exits. And the weather outside, when we were able to get out to the courtyard, was a bit prohibitive for climbing over a 3-story building.
Well, step by step, we got the laundry room fixed. We'll get the next block.
I'm glad that there are still some people out there who have their minds, at least. Her numbers haven't gone up in a while.
Well, got a few. Yeah, you seem a bit nervous too.
No, well, maybe a little. I mean, are you not?
No, yeah, true.
This is kind of a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, stuff to think about.
Yeah.
But- I just find it easier if I focus on, like helping Loic and helping y'all get laundry access. It's more manageable.
That's what Winter says as well. She says, idle hands make idle minds, and idle minds bring errant thoughts. And that's what's not wrong. That's one of our the easiest coping mechanisms we teach to patients, is to just occupy themselves. That's a lot of what the rehab bring was. There's hobbies and workshops and painting and whatever kind of carpentry interests they found. It's not wrong.
Are y'all keeping that stuff up in here? Like, I guess I see they're playing cards
She
over
actually
there.
sort of points across the room.
Yeah.
Well, as well as we can with the deck of cards and some children's toys. We don't really have access to much. Well, Loic's actually quite fond of telling stories. He's got quite a lot of them. He's lived a very long life.
I'd love to hear a few. I could accompany you with violin or something.
Well, maybe around dinner time when he's awake and lucid. I'm sure he'd be glad to. He hasn't had a new audience for a couple of days. But he's great with the children. I've never, you know, like Grandpa tells the stories and the kids are asleep or bored or running circles around the foyer, but no, they listen to him. He's really got a gift for it. But thank you for the help.
Yeah.
Easy.
No worries. I'm gonna go help out in the kitchen.
Yeah. Oh, right. Of course. Yeah. Sorry. Then she just sort of looks down and turns and heads back over.
Is that what Tin Stress does to somebody? Did we just become that?
4 days. Your mind is just imploding. The group of you all coming in now. Easy, you two, and York drop off all the stuff.
I see how it is.
What?
You say his name, but not ours.
Mine's
You
just
too.
as easy.
You people.
You people.
I see.
Big gentlemen with your hulking clothes carrying muscles.
He described us. Okay.
Yeah.
Drop off your
We're
load.
more important.
You feel
And,
seen?
Boston heads back out to the barricade, and I imagine the group of you all just kind of congregate over at the side where this card game is being played, where you're introduced to most of the rest of the survivors.
Are Cammy or I winning, or are we losing?
That's my
terribly?
question.
Yeah, right? We're on the same page.
Roll me d20. Let's see. Let's see.
It's not 90s. It's not important.
D20
I got a
plus luck.
19.
I got a nat 20.
I got 3. I am in last one.
Okay. Okay.
It's it is streetcar or whatever it's called.
3 count.
Three count.
Okay.
She counted 3.
I see how it is. So Cammy comes in. You know this. You know a 3 count.
I know how to play 3 count. That's the
didn't-
only memory I've retained.
I don't know who I am. I don't know where I'm from.
I don't know how to play pool.
A full shark. Actually, she's sharking.
I'm learning. Please don't.
Empathetic, please. You
This is
friggin'
what
gnome.
matters.
Actually, it's just blue. It's not even Cammy. It's just blue. It's the lizard.
He's reading everybody else's hands. He's like,
Running around invisibly and then just like walking up to you.
Like touching your foot.
So not only are you a shark, you're a cheat. No,
But you're sitting down with Baisley, Danae, Bates is there, the 12-year-old, but he's kind of off to the side, and Erwin. Playing cards with the 5 of you, and as the rest of you join this group here, one of these players is very clearly dominating this game, and it's very obviously Cammy, and she's sitting down there. Besley has this still huge smile on her face. She thinks it's the funniest thing ever. Danae here has got the absolute like stone poker face as she just stares down at this, and Erwin can't stop laughing, which is kind of a problem because she has several broken ribs. So her like laughter is pretty interspersed with like wincing. Okay. Oh, it hurts, but I can't stop. Okay.
oh gosh.
And it's good vibes over here.
Walk up behind Cammy. Is it 8 good?
Shut up. It's like really good. I'm sure it's really, really good.
She comes in here. Oh, do you play 3 count? She says. Oh.
How much were we betting on this?
Don't know if we're gonna have much opportunity to spend it anytime soon.
I just wondering. I don't know what you guys set up
Danae
beforehand,
just
but
reaches up and kind of adjusts her glasses a little bit. What coppers we have seem to be pretty soundly in Cammy's pockets at this point, I believe.
which is excellent because I would not have had any money to donate to this fund.
Well, and she just puts her hand down. I'm out this round again, I suppose.
There is no 8.
Just got, like,
I just gather all of the cards to myself like they're poker chips. Uno. What do you say when you win?
The groupie of no one's gonna spread off from this have some time just sort of gathered around getting introduced to the patients here. Nasa and Loic are still off at the other wing. Voston and Wynn are outside, and this other older woman is still just kind of around the corner by herself. She's still just sort of watching, not like she wants, not like awkwardly, like she just looks over every now and then, but she is down writing and appears to be a small journal with a couple of other books in front of her. Whereas Winter, all these little pocket manuals and tomes she has are very clearly just a huge assortment of religious liturgies and psalters and gospel. These are just like a couple of what look like just historic encyclopedias. Just a couple of little random like books from the library.
That reminds me. Didn't we get a book off of the dead clergyman?
We gave it to
Yeah,
It was
we
Yes.
gave
Book
it
of
to her,
Psalms.
right?
You give it a psalter, yep.
Okay.
That has been handed in.
I just remember
but-
that we got it.
After another couple of hours here in the chapel, the door is open again, and Winter comes in. Black and silver bound book, and just kind of folded against her chest, and looks over towards Nasa. Nasa, it's time for afternoon. The sect prayers. If you'll join us, I'll provide what I can. The rest of you, I know we've had some issues with Loic this morning, so I'm not want to move him. If you'll join us over yonder. That heads over towards Nasa and Loic. At this point, the card game surely would have wound down and just been hanging out and talking about whatever random subjects would come up through a group of survivors.
Everybody's devastated.
Is everyone just shit? I don't want to play anymore. everyone shifts over around towards Winter. She opens her book and looks down and reads a few lines of this daily prayer out across everyone. Her voice almost changes as she recites these cants. It's almost just monotone, rhythmic, systematic. It's almost mechanical. The words having come through her mouth thousands and thousands of times in her life. Book open, she's looking at it, and though her eyes follow the page, it's immediately apparent to everyone she knows them to her very soul. Can't be cheating at cards, that's a baning.
No! It was never confirmed. Nobody can prove it.
And it's the first time you've ever seen her gesticulate with a free hand. She's usually very reserved, very still while she talks, but she emphasizes some points with some small, usually cupped hand motions. And ends by putting this hand to the pendant on her chest, bowing her head at the end of the prayer. Most of the rest of the survivors in here do the same, putting their heads down, closing their eyes. She would have brought Tolman and the other two children in behind her as well, before an incantation follows. Sana, ma'am, the waters of the River of Souls wash through us, cleanse us, and purge whatever mortal sin we carry. And you can feel this energy just radiate out from her, as anyone who needs it heals for 11 hit points. You're all as touched up as you can be, mostly, but you sort of serviced your own wounds. You stitched them as you can, you bound them with simple rags and gauze. It stops it from being dangerous, it stops them from bleeding, it doesn't so much stop it from hurting, but you really feel the pain, the soreness subside and wash away this prayer. And she's silent for a few moments after. And she opens her eyes, closes the book. Thank you. Well, I'll relieve Sir York of his watch. Pray, join me at Vespers for our evening. And turns to Tolman, who just sort of nods, and Tolman, the kids, and Winter all head back out of the chapel. Pretty shortly replaced by Boston coming back in as well. As he looks across, Easy, have you spent any of this time? You expressed some interest in cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Are you trained in survival?
I'm not.
What you have here is kind of a very random sequence of not great interaction of goods. The base of what you have to work with is just kind of like cornmeal. You don't even really have anything to make a proper dough or anything to spice or flavor. You have no sugar, no salt. There's little you can do with these just sort of scattered supplies they've managed to pull in.
Because it's cooking, can I use craft? Because that is the cooking skill.
I would absolutely let you use craft. As
you see me bumble.
As I see him struggling,
you are baned from link 1429. Bane Cray, because I'm still salty. I'm negating my $50 centipede puff with a nat 20. Yeah, you can definitely head over. You see Easy kind of struggling here a little bit.
I'll come over and just kind of ruffle through the assortments before putting like a small handful of things to the side and being,
You can make a rough dough with at least some of this.
and see what I can come up with.
You got blessed, but then you got rebaned immediately.
That's fine because this is getting rerolled. That's a 4.
Fair enough.
That ain't it. That ain't it.
He messed up the recipe. Let's try again.
Oh, well,
2.
marginally.
A 14 total.
14 total. You're trying.
Working with what's there.
Yeah, I mean it's really just not a great situation. You are like set for failure here. And between you and Easy, I mean, you put together food that you can eat and you will gain calories.
Hard
And
tack.
Yeah, kind of. More like corn slop. It's not, no one's gonna enjoy it, but it is gonna, like, you know, make you continue being alive.
On the list of things that aren't enjoyable in this situation, that's pretty low. So
I say that's a minor inconvenience.
While these two are working on this, at some point, the other three of you, MD, Cammy, Keys, would find yourself over by Erwin and Bates with York. And I have a thought occurs to me, actually. He just points at MD and where you know, clearly got ripped by Dr. Oatstay a little bit and bandaged that up. You seem to have a pretty decent amount of triage abilities. Is there anything more we can do for them? We've done what we can to the extent of how magic can help them, really, but Broken Bones is a little beyond Winter's spells, I think. And Erwin just sort of looks directly at you guys. You talk about me like I'm not even here?
pretty much it.
I gotta stop laughing. Oh, they can break my bones. They can't break my spirits, right? I'll be fine. If there's anything you can do, it's broken ribs. What can you possibly do about broken ribs? We've bound it up as well as we can. It'll be better when it's better. Help Bates. If there's anything you can do, it's his leg.
I'm pretty sure that I was a doctor in my past life, so.
At the mention of his name, Bates, so he turns his head and looks at you, and he's sort of almost just curled up on the ground, almost fetal on his side. He's by several years the elder of the children, but the expression in his face, just like the wide-eyed fear as he looks at the group of you, you would believe he was the youngest. He doesn't say anything. He just looks.
Hi, Bates.
And as you approach him, the older woman from around the corner immediately, like, double takes and gets up and bustles over and sort of just lightly taps on your shoulder. And Boston puts a hand up. This is Mira. These are friends. I help him. And she just looks at Ruby again, just...
I'm gonna give the biggest fake smile I can possibly muster right now. I'm just... Friends, yes. That is what I am. I'm trying to help.
And York's just this. No, she's very protective of him. We've bonded in the last couple of days. And he just looks at her again. Please. Let them help him. Please.
So, question. Why is Bates here? What's...
He's... I know he was a patient, but I don't know. Did that be... I don't think Nasa knew him either. None of us here were pediatric. So best guess is he's not terribly responsive to much. He's clearly very frightened all the time, and Mira's about the only one he's responded to pretty well.
How'd he break his leg?
I don't know. That's... Honestly, I think it might have happened during all of the rioting and chaos of the collapse, and it's not broken, but we think it might be fractured, perhaps, and us not noticing and him walking on it might have made it worse. Kids are surprisingly resilient.
Near indestructible unless you tell them otherwise.
So he just looks at Mira again. I can get. I can move her if you need, but I would really rather I didn't have to.
We don't want to step on any toes or anything.
I can interpret for you somewhat. You should still talk. She's deaf, but the lip reading helps.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna face Mira and just put my hand out. They call me MD. I mean no harm at all.
And Boston next to you is doing a couple of little signs. Like, now I don't know a ton, so it's gonna be concepts. Top level concepts is what we've got here. And make me, one of you three, a diplomacy check.
Oh, are we doing that?
Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever.
Nice.
I only have +2 to see.
I don't have the face for diplomacy.
12.
A 12. She sort of looks at you. Then just sort of shrugs. And does this again. Does a couple of things, and Boston's like, whoa, slow down.
So I'm gonna look at her and I'm gonna
She's-
say, we forget. We don't remember.
Oh crap, she actually knows sign language. I don't like this. I don't like the
We got
eight things I
AJ
learned.
sweating.
She does whatever the sign language equivalent would be to the words I'm going to say. I know, like, please and friends
this
and
is
help
remember. This
and
is
go
remember,
away.
yeah.
That's I know. I know. I learned a couple for this, but I do not know sign
I'm
language.
impressed. I'm super impressed. I also don't remember a lot, but I know a couple things.
She looks at you, kind of up and down, and says,
In sign language.
it says in sign language, says with her hands aggressively, Winter has tried. She's used magic. What can you do?
And I'm gonna sign back. I don't know all those signs, but I'm gonna prep some signs. I'm gonna say that Cammy knows medicine. And so she can help you.
I kind of puff out my doctor's lab coat and kind of stand up a bit straighter.
I'm gonna say like it's not the same, it's different magic.
Everyone's baned.
Oh, no!
We probably deserve this.
2 of us were baned already.
And
Hey.
Value.
the blesses had come through. So no, but it's a universal.
did come through?
Yeah,
Oh,
before,
we
now
did.
it's a universal baning, blanket bane. And she looks over towards you and just sighs, kind of narrows her eyes, and looks down towards Bates, and then turns and signs towards Vossing, because I guess we've established that Keys knows sign language now. Okay, kind of begrudgingly, and Vossing says, "Thank you. Thank you." And Mira doesn't leave, but she does like step back, no longer interposing herself between the group of you, and just sort of watches down, looking at Cammy very particularly. And the boss just kind of says, "Well, I wanted to trust you. I guess this is a good way to earn it."
Okay.
Well, let's first start by talking to the kid.
Yes. I was gonna say I kneel down. I probably don't.
I sit on the ground in front of him.
Hey, kid,
You
I
could
heard
be
you got
the-
bonitis.
You should be the one talking to her. You know more told sign language than I do.
Sure. I mean, like, oh yeah, sit down to, like next to them as well.
We're just
Like,
all
I
crowding
feel like I'll
around.
play interpreter for you, but I will share my signs.
Colby's
I'm
the
a little-
first to
I'm
be
a little rusty.
reblessed.
I feel loved.
Give me a medicine check.
I would love to.
Can I assist?
Strong arming the GM into giving your character sign language is a bless for Keys.
Thank you.
Now you earned it. You come. I learned like
I studied it
10
way back.
total signs for this specifically.
Representation
With the,
matters. I'm gonna pull it in.
No.
Bonitis.
Hey, talk about it. There's nothing there. I'm gonna spend a hero
That was
point.
a bonitis right there.
Break
the
his
natural-
leg. Break his leg and set him back.
I'm spending a point. I'm not letting that happen.
You can only go higher.
Is that a 15 on the die? Where am I? 21.
21. As
Not bad.
you kneel down. The first thing you need to do is figure out what is wrong with him. Clearly, his leg is pretty painful. He doesn't want to move it, and the front of his shin on his right leg definitely very, very tender. I mean, you don't really have an X-ray or anything.
Yeah.
But you're pretty confident they're not wrong. It's probably a growing fracture. It was probably just like a really small hairline down near the ankle that walking on it, or maybe he stumbled or tripped or twisted his ankle after that caused it to really flare off.
Poor baby.
But what you can do, fortunately with where it is, it's sort of a pain to splint because it's so low. But it's something that you can do with the heap of clothes that these two have brought in. Because in amongst those, you have a couple of kind of larger sets of boots that you can just sort of use and wrap around in lieu of a splint for his entire ankle. And you getting it on very cautiously and get it set, get it bound up fairly tightly. It's a big enough oversized boot for him. You can get it tied up above where it seems like the point of pain is, and then down on the foot, and you brace it a little bit up to the knee as you can with a fairly large splint. And Mira kind of just watches all of this. Boston and MD, I imagine, also having some triage skill helping you. Mira watches all this, and her expression sort of softens as it goes. Dang it, I learned like 10 signs and I forgot. I'm sorry.
Okay. Which one are you trying to think of? Maybe
I'm sorry.
I know it.
I forgot. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yes. Thank you. Sorry. And thank you. Right. Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you. Open hand. Right.
Thank you.
Or not. Thank you. Please. Open hand. And sorry is what it was. And
Like total props for representation. That's awesome. So cool.
as you get done with this, she sort of just looks towards you and just. And Boston says she's apologizing.
I'm just gonna be like, oh, like you're scared. Like I understand.
It's fine. Cammy doesn't know, but she like tries to gesture as best as she can.
Well, this went about as well as it could, I suppose. That's that boot holds. Hopefully, it should help him from moving it and hurting it further. That's
I wouldn't really walk on it right
Well,
now
we're not.
for
He's-
a while.
of course, but I couldn't have said it as well as that. Thank you.
No, it's fine.
No, we need all of the aid that we can get here. Winter wasn't kidding out in that hallway. We don't have much.
Excuse me.
Let's-
Sorry.
with that, you have some food prepared. You've kind of impressed yourself upon the other survivors of the camp as well as you can. You've made some new friends. You've earned some of Mira's trust, and the rest of the afternoon is relatively peaceable. Later that evening again, about another 3 hours after the previous prayer, Winter comes back in, recites another cant, gathering everyone together. Loic is awake this time, so brings everyone over towards the infirmary. But no magic follows in this one, just a simple prayer. Heads back out, continues her watch. And then later, as hours have passed from morning to afternoon to evening, comes back in again for Vespers. Another incantation at the end of this liturgy, another wave of this healing magic over everyone, another blast of divine energy to dull the pain, to provide what aid she can. And as she finishes that, at the same time, Tolman keeps the kids in that time. He doesn't bring the kids in for this second prayer, but he does for Vespers. And at that point, it seems like they all stay inside. This is the point after which you had arrived last evening. Tolman,
In between
Go ahead.
one of those, I would want to go to Winter with some of the actual equipment that we have found. And where do we put this? Who should we give this to? Like, there's no reason for me to be carrying a maul, a great club,
Yeah.
a hatchet,
Between-
3 light hammers.
between her and York, the Mall and the Great Club are just tools, aren't they?
Yes.
But between
So are the light hammers.
Yeah, between her and York, you can get everything that you've got. Anything you don't want to be carrying on your person, you can easily just stash throughout the area. They have some area set up for
Somewhere
storage.
out of kids' reach.
Most of their storage is that little pass-through next to the barricade. Those two kind of opposites of the wall collapse between them is where they're just sort of keeping things, as well as just in the nave of this chapel up front. But after that, Danae heads out to the barricade for her shift, and Winter gathers the group of you and brings you back out into the hallway towards the curtain. Well, I've heard good things, and somehow, surprisingly, Mira even looks on two of you fondly. It wasn't something I had expected.
Who could hate this face?
Not her, it seems. Well, I promised you answers, and you'll have them. But first, let me show you our problem. And reaches out towards the curtain dividing the hallway. And behind it is a break in the stream for about 10 minutes. We are going to take our afternoon intermission here. They can't reach the fist bump. They're trying.
What are we doing?
You can touch
I mean,
things.
Cammy is so
Do the fist
tiny.
bump through
that,
the
like,
fist. There you go.
Transitive property. Boom. There you go.
The armor's in the way. Like I can't like fully lean in.
Oh, you can't.
Feel free to use the bathroom, grab some drinks, hydrate. Water's important. It's going to be about a 10-minute break time here. And throughout that, you are going to see some ads. We run those during the break to stop them from auto-playing during as much of the show as possible. Because if we don't run any, they're going to run anyway, just in sort of random intervals. And also people will get pre-rolls when they join. So thank you, all of you, for sitting through those. Don't worry, you're not missing any content. Thank you. The show is not going to continue until all of them are over. We'll be back in about 10 minutes, everyone. Don't go too far. Welcome back, everybody. I have told the cast this, but I think it probably merits saying on camera as well, because we have this Strange Aeons incredible horror, everything is awful all the time campaign, that it would be very easy to descend into everything is awful all of the time.
We're in Usulov, it is
And
regardless.
it's not wrong. Like, you guys are still in a terrible situation right now. This is still here and looks like it does, but not every, like, second, not every episode has to be constant terrible things, because we've done that before. It's actually one of the very first things I ever ran was everything is horrible every single episode for an entire book. It's called Skull and Shackles. And
everything is
When are we going to be
awful.
doing Skull and Shackles?
the first, I would love
Everything
to
is
run Skull and
cool
Shackles,
when you're
honestly.
in
I did not have the GM chops to do that previously, because like this is the setting. This is not like this is a 20-year-old campaign. I don't think anyone cares about spoilers for a 20-year-old campaign I already streamed. But this is the premise of book one. It's a pirate campaign. So the whole adventure is we're going to go be pirates and do pirate stuff. You think to yourself, oh boy, that sounds like a great time. We're going to be swashbuckling in a rope swinging. No, book one is you are press ganged into slavery on a pirate ship for the whole book. The entirety of the first book is the story of how you stopped being slave crew on this ship. It's the bad times. It's you don't start high. And I ran it like the way that it's just written, because it was like the first thing I had run. This is the first big form campaign I'd run. I was like, okay, well, I obviously, mistake number one, I've read the whole adventure. I know where this is going. I know where we're going. I know what the point of this is. I know the payoffs. But when you're like on episode 9 of absolute miserable boat slavery, it's not fun anymore.
Oh my god.
Nobody was singing Lonely Island songs.
There were very
on that
few
boat.
Lonely Island songs. Yeah, I don't know if there
I mean, was
a
it even
one,
out yet?
actually.
Like, what year was that?
Oh man,
Like-
this was a while ago. I'm sure it wasn't that long ago. I'm sure I'm on a boat was the thing that we had. But I learned from that. As I've learned from a great number of things, Well, everything that I've run so far, which is, we're on a tangent. I'm going to get off this real quick. Like, every time you run something, every session you GM, every campaign you go through, you learn from. You become better players. You become better GM. You get a better understanding of how to make things fun, entertaining. And I have learned it doesn't need to be 100% horror all of the time. Plus, if we have these moments of respite here, we have our first half of the stream meeting these survivors in the chapel, playing cards, having a good time. When it does get horrible, we have that much more behind it. Speaking of, I believe we left off at the hallway curtain. The group of you have come outside with Winter, where past 2 doors on the southern end, there is this heavy sheet that has just been hung across the passageway. Winter pulls it aside. Danae is over around the barricade. It's just the 6 of you here in view of the thing. And she reveals an absolutely horrible growth of some kind.
Ooh.
It is
Oh gosh.
an eyeball. It looks to be a human eyeball with a pallid green iris, several feet across. It's at about chest level for your average height humans, a little above Cammy's head. The outsides of the eyelid are crusted and matted with a viscous yellow foaming substance almost, and spidering out from that are vein-like tendrils, growths just spreading to the corners of this wall and starting to expand out from this surface directly in front of you to the northern and southern walls, to the floor, to the ceiling. And the thing is not motionless. It looks. The pupil skitters, it shakes. It dances around, rolling, looking across the party. The eyeball does not blink, but the lids occasionally twitch and kind of writhe. There's a very heavy smell that hits you as the curtain is pulled back as well. Like bleach, much like the cleaning supply closet you'd been through before. Oddly pure and sterile in the face of whatever this thing is. As Winter pulls back the curtain, her other hand goes immediately back to this pendant. I don't know what I can say that you can't see. This was once a door here, and with the hallway to the north collapsed, I believe it's the only access we have to the rest of the asylum, save for mining through a concrete wall, which, even if we could do, given the damage, the structure of the asylum itself was likely to collapse the whole chamber as we were to make a path.
Am I remembering this correctly, that anyone who's tried to approach this thing has come to a end?
It is much larger than it was at first, but when it was smaller, we tried to cut it free from the wall, and it fought back. It grew fangs, teeth extruding out from that pupil at its core, and it engorged itself. It stretched, it lashed, it bit back, and everyone it bit lost themselves soon after.
What? Has anyone shot a crossbow at it? I imagine so. I'm curious to know what happens.
We have tried.
I just slowly, like, dazed, reaching to my back.
It's When our first attempts failed to cut it, we tried to fire on it with crossbows from a distance. We stood back. We launched a volley of bolts its direction. Some of them stuck, some of them simply bounced like they'd hit armor or a hide. Even those that embedded themselves in the thing's flesh, it shucked them free shortly after, pushing them back out. It bled this greenish yellow ammonia almost. You can still smell it now here. And the thing cried out. It spoke. It was a horrible scene, but it didn't move.
It spoke and said,
It kept crying, what am I become? What am I become?
Now, my next question for you. Have you tried talking to it?
Briefly,
Did it respond?
just with that same phrase.
What?
I'm just gonna walk away at this point.
It's disgusting. Cover it back up. I want to
She-
look at something like that.
She pulls the curtain back. If we can't find a way through this, I'm afraid we may have to resign ourselves to more drastic measures. The only ways that I can think of to proceed would be the windows of the chapel. But you've been outside. And you've seen even what the courtyard is like. If we shatter a window of the chapel, and we find something we can't handle, and if we find no respite or succor, the chapel will protect us no longer. It's a last resort. One that I'm prepared to do if necessary, but if there's a way through here, if there's something that can be done.
Well, I think our first step is to try to communicate with it at least. It can talk.
Yeah.
It might not be able to hear us. Doesn't have ears. Ears are important for hearing. And it might not be able to read lips. Yeah, I think that's our first step. Attacking it doesn't work.
And as you speak here, the thing on the opposite side of the curtain screams. If it can hear you, if it knows you're plotting against it, for whatever reason, it cries out in a shrill, echoing sound. And immediately, all of you and Winter feel your minds just completely overwhelmed with this cry. I need everybody to make me a stress check.
oh, can I do counter performance on this?
I would absolutely let you throw a counter performance here. So that, if I recall correctly, means that you can roll a performance check and everyone can pick to use
What they rolled or
what they
mine.
rolled or what you rolled.
Yeah, it's a performance saving.
So the way we do it, because I don't know if it specifies, does it tell you if they know what you get?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, they can choose the better result.
Oh, these are better.
Oh,
okay,
okay.
fair enough. Well, roll your performance check first then.
Or you roll.
Natural 20.
Dude.
That's not gonna stop me.
No, you have to choose the better one.
You have
Does it say,
I got a
you
15.
may?
you
So
may-
we got. Oh my goodness.
Well,
So
you know,
we got.
Does it say can?
It can.
I'm re-rolling that 15.
He listens. He opens his ears.
oh my god, dude.
The man is incapable of failing. So this was a woe that Chad had brought in. And I thought it was going to be incredibly horrible because I was making it like a DC 11 50-50 for 2 stress and 1 stress on a success. And then you pull out, you just rip counter performance natural 20 off the top. So
Well, I used a whole focus point.
you did use a whole focus.
And wait, he got to use counter performance.
For the first
Went through an entire campaign without using it, so
Wow.
feel lucky.
The woe is that Trey didn't get a stress
Well,
point.
Trey didn't-
I
We can watch him suffer on screen.
Wow.
That is the woe.
Well, I believe
If someone wanted the party to be unhappy,
because that's
they
a flat
managed by
check. A nat 20
20%.
doesn't matter. I still get 1 stress.
I'll give you 1 stress.
Yes.
I'm still gonna give all of you 1 stress.
Then I get 2.
Ah,
I want 2. Give me 2.
Putting
Please,
you
please, I'm
here.
begging you.
I rolled a 19.
The woe is he's. It's a wow. Said Timothy. It was his woe. You all gain 1 point of stress.
Whoa.
But what do you do? What's your counter performance? What happens? What do they feel?
What do they feel?
Tell me the scene
Make us
here.
feel something.
You are absolutely neutering a woe. What's happening?
Well, I mean, it's very similar to probably a soothe, where like I can feel it's like the pain of the eye, and it trying to make us feel kind of that pain. Just think back to like Calm Me Down, Loic, and similar to a feat I took, which is it's like I think the calm, whatever. But yeah, I'm just generally just trying to counteract it. Like I want to like cancel out the pain, like calm.
And as you do, everyone gaining 1 stress, feeling like that could have been much worse than it was. Winter, hands up to her temples. That hasn't done that before.
Maybe it doesn't like us messing with it.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I think it's in a lot of pain. I don't know. And it's just trying to
It's-
protect itself.
Certainly communicated through nothing but agony and all these cries. I've studied much of spirits and souls. Pharasma, it's much our duty. Many, even in more normal circumstances than these, cling to this world. Their souls refusing to pass to the river, refusing to be judged by the Grey Mother, clinging to some slight, some possession, some enemy, something that keeps them bound here until they are sated. I believe this to be something akin to that. But reading this, studying through these tomes back at the Mother's Choir is something very different than seeing it in person, and I don't know what it wants. If it wants anything at all.
Could it be blocking this door because whatever it's afraid of is past this door and doesn't want anyone else
Maybe.
being here?
I've put a lot of thought into these words that I put out. I wanted to think of something. What am I become? Certainly a monstrosity, but trying to speak to it, trying to explain even how I can of this situation. What little I was able to interact with it, I could feel it. Well, what had happened just now, but markedly less severe, admittedly. Like it was roaming its way into its mind, like it was trying to share my consciousness. I couldn't stand it for long.
Well, the Doppels seem to have come from people that were already here. It doesn't seem entirely impossible that this is also someone that you had as a patient. Well, not you, but that was a patient
But-
here or staff.
Very possibly. But gazing upon the thing has been enough to near drive several of us mad. So there's little to be learned from studying it, and if there's anyone who could recognize a patient from a single eye, they've not made that known.
We've tried like hurting it and talking to it. Have we tried just healing it, like helping it? Like I don't know. What if it responds?
Healing it.
I mean,
I
if we're friendly towards it, maybe.
I haven't. The thought hasn't occurred to me, I suppose. It's
I'm gonna try playing a soothe to it. I'm just gonna.
okay. You step up and she moves the curtain aside enough for you to step in and look through, and the eyeballs pupil again just moves, kind of jittering, facing towards you as you cast this out. And you send out this soothe, and you feel this magic. Like you can tell when you cast a spell that there is something there. Like if you try to just cast a soothe into a chair,
Yeah.
you're gonna feel the spell just dissipate. Nothing happens. You can tell that your spell has taken hold. And ooh, I almost knocked over my head because there is something there. Your spell lands. Your spell does connect. But all that happens as it hits is that the eyelids shudder, squinting a little bit as they shake, almost as if it's in pain.
As if that didn't help.
Did you say try to connect its consciousness to you?
You see the pupil in the front of this open, like a mouth, the black void splitting to reveal teeth and a red tongue within. You hear this voice roll out, almost crying, "What am I become?" And it pivots to look away from you.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't.
All right, that's it. I'm climbing up the outside. I don't want to be anywhere near this.
And Winter pulls the curtain closed again. That was a reaction. That's something.
You said it tried to connect its consciousness to you.
I don't know. It's just if we stay in the thing's presence for too long, if you look at it, if it looks at you, you can start to feel it. You can start to feel it in your mind. It's whispers, like I don't know, like almost as if someone was speaking to you, encouraging you. Something. I haven't stayed long enough to find what.
Cool. Open the curtain for me.
You're going to do what I think you're going to do. Are you certain?
I'm positive. If it's a step in getting us through, it's a step in getting us through.
And she pulls it aside enough for you to step through, and then puts it back down behind you. So Winter and the rest of the group are still on the backside of this. And MD, you are in this small little alcove, 10 foot by 10 foot, with this huge eyeball just in front of you in the darkness. The color all gone from this. You just see the shape and the form with your dark vision. The smallest amount of any kind of yellow, pale tint from the bits of light streaming in on the edges of the curtain. And you...
All right then. Speak to me. I'm here. I'm listening. Whatever you want to say.
You can see it in the darkness, still similarly seems to be able to look towards you. The people mostly focused on you. And as you sit there and you speak, and you wait, you start to feel this sort of presence, this whispering idea mingling with your own thoughts in the back of your head. Make me a will save.
I'm good at these. Natural 20.
Oh my gosh.
Speak to me, foul eye.
You're good at.
That is beautiful.
Good at
Can you need this is
Dude.
You look and you feel this, and it starts to connect, almost like the thoughts are your own, pulling forth your own memories, not from before you get super excited,
I was like, hey, let's all go stand.
but from just a day ago, a night ago, more specifically. Nightmare. A small building, a girl, a mirror, an eye. The longer you sit here in the presence of this thing, the more you find it hard to think about anything else. And with your critical success, you keep the focus here. You don't feel, I mean, you definitely do feel a bit of a pull, both emotionally and like intrusive ideas, but you keep focused on this as that event, that scene just solidifies like you're looking at a painting until it feels almost like you're not even standing looking at this eye anymore. You are there again in that dream. And you hear the voice again. You're not even sure if the eye is speaking or if this is all in your head. This of the girl, not the screaming eyeball. What am I become?
I wish I could answer that question.
You can see she's looking in the mirror away from you. And the reflection in this standing mirror in her face, this same yellow growth starts to spread out across the ruined half of her face.
In this imaginary scene, can I approach her?
You can.
I approach her from behind, looking in the reflection. I just put my hand up over that eye. All I see is someone who's still beautiful.
And just her looking at that one visible half of her face. I just want to go back to how things were.
I think a lot of us feel that way. That there's some things we can never go back to. You just got to keep looking forwards.
The rest of you, outside the curtain, hear nothing from inside as you're all just sort of, I imagine, staring intently at a pretty heavy sheet, just hung up waiting for something to happen. And the first thing you hear is a clatter of metal and a dropping like a sack of what sounds like MD hitting the floor.
Definitely gonna rush over to the curtain and pull it to the side and look in.
As you pull it to the side, you see him just kind of crumpled on the ground like he just collapsed. The eyeball has closed. It's still there. The lids are shut.
I'm gonna go wake him up. Put on him.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Immediately, you feel this smack, and your vision kind of swims, and you just sort of wake up on the floor with Carrie slapping you.
That was way more helpful than I thought it was going to be.
You did something to it. I'll get out of your way here. Hold on.
Stand up. Remember the girl in the dreams?
One claw in your face.
This is her.
How? How is that possibly her?
How is any of this possible?
One thing becoming another thing, sure. One thing becoming... How?
He's scared.
Please, let's step back so we can at least replace the curtain. I don't know what it's done to you, but let me make sure you're okay.
I'm fine.
The girl clawing at her face?
In a nightmare, there was a girl sitting in front of a mirror. The mirror showed her clawing at her face, but her actual visage was the yellow growth coming from a socket. Her eye, her face, she was in very bad shape and very upset.
Do you think it means anything? Did you find aught of it?
The only thing I can know for certain is she's terrified. She wants to go back to the way things were.
I could say one thing. I've never seen it closed before. While it's closed like this, I don't feel anything. I don't feel that gaze, that presence. I don't feel any effect. You see it shudder a little bit and hear what sounds like a muted sobbing from the eyeball.
Do you have any adept artists in the chapel?
Tolman. Tolman's an illuminator, and he spends much of his free time doing that, what little he has. That's most of all he likes staying with the children.
It might not be necessarily for the moment, but potentially, considering all of us have seen her, we might be able to help figure out what she looks like, and maybe someone here recognizes her.
Perhaps. If you think it would aid.
I mean,
If we can
it
find
would
a way.
certainly humanize this object that is not likely to be going anywhere anytime soon.
But before we leave, I'm gonna open the curtain up one more time and just approach.
Still open, yeah.
Yeah, it's still open. Yeah, I couldn't remember if she closed or not.
Nah, she wanted to, but you told her no, so you're all just kind of standing here with a closed eye.
I'm gonna approach it. I'm just gonna pat the eyeball. Like, you're doing good, kid.
Immediately eaten alive.
I would love it.
I would.
Only in Strange Aeons. Only in Strange Aeons do we have the sympathetic character
Eyeball
here
pet.
for the giant demonic eyeball going out of the wall. This is certainly a campaign.
Haven't we all felt really hideous before? We have all needed someone to be like, I know
You're
it's
okay.
just, you're fine. Like, you just rolled out of bed and like, you're not actually that
You're just
bad.
going through an awkward phase.
And she turns to the corner. Danae, can you bring Tolman? Tell him to bring his drawing supplies, his paints if you can. We may have a job for him. And Danae just kind of nods. And just says, I'll watch the barricade. I would hope that much of its time of service has passed. Well, we organized this. I said I'd tell you anything you wanted to know. That's everything I could. So, well, do you have any questions, or should I just explain as plainly as we can?
Who are we? That's a joke.
But if you did happen to know, then it's not a joke anymore.
You certainly wouldn't be the first ones to have lost a piece of yourself here, it seems. Mira, as well. The mute woman. She doesn't remember anything at the time before the collapse either. Although I don't know if that condition is pre-existing or not, but with what little what little York has been able to communicate with her, she doesn't seem to remember much of anything. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know her name. I mean, she's not seemingly very interested in sharing much with many of us anyway. I mean, she can plainly write. She could explain as much as she wants to. She just doesn't.
Other than that, what in the hells is happening?
Well, this, as I'm sure you by now know, is Briarstone Asylum, and while I was visiting, there was a riot. It was an uprising of the patients. But this is no prison. Everyone here is seeking treatment, and while some few have no option to leave and have been committed either by state or county, many here are seeking treatment at behest of, if not themselves, their loved ones. And to my understanding, it was a very forward and effective facility. But this was no prison break. This was no... I don't know what better to call it than a riot, but it was almost like a religious movement. The patients had adorned themselves in yellow paint and smears, and, well, they've named themselves the Apostles in Opermit. They hold much of the northern reaches of the asylum. Before the rehab passageway collapsed, and before this, what I've been calling the Eye of Argus, appeared, we could still roam the asylum to some extent. We had some little contact with them, but...
Are they aggressive?
Sometimes. They're unwilling to parley with us, unwilling to meet us on any common terms. In truth, that's why I was so remiss to accept Orman. I didn't fear he was a face stealer. I feared he was an apostle. His gown bared so many of the same things in that name, Xandalis. These apostles chant it, pray to it, like he's some kind of god.
Is it a god or
I
a god
believe
that...
he was a patient. It's a name that Nurse Wellica is familiar with. Oliver Xandalis. He's been here for, well, longer than she has. Decades, I think.
Dr. Oatsday had some interesting things to tell us, or say to us, rather. I don't know if tell is really the right word. Before she was no longer able to tell us anything.
An apt way to put it.
There was some conversation about myself being a transfer. Are you familiar with the political inner workings of clearly a place that you haven't been here for very long at? Like giving up the question as I ask him.
My time here has been very brief. This would be a question better for Sir York and Swellica, perhaps even Sir Lilies. But
What was that last name?
Lilies. Oh,
Lilies?
sorry. The Tolman, the gnome.
Okay.
They've worked here for, well, together a few decades, I believe. I believe Sir York has been here the longest. But I'm sorry, I have no answers. If you were, though, I assume there would be records of some sort if we can get into the rest of the asylum. Surely these are answers that could be found.
So the timeline is the riots happened and then the collapse. How long after the riots?
Near simultaneous. The uprising began swiftly, and it was violent. Many of the first of the losses were before any of these doppelgangers or undead or any of these aberrations stalked the halls. It was to the apostles. They were, again, like they were spurred into a crusade, striking down any who weren't of their number.
So the apostles are on this floor?
They were on the northern wings. I don't know if there's much left beyond this floor. From
Who's
what
currently carrying the map?
Oh, not I. Not me.
I don't know.
No, I don't have it.
I have it. I have it.
You
It's
have
in my
it?
backpack.
I'm gonna pull it out, like our mask. I'm gonna gesture to
I'm far from an
You'll be
expert
here
of
so
the
we can,
layout of this place, but I can
maybe
show you
get some information about like where the apostles were.
much of what we've seen.
I don't
I
think
was
we've
in-
actually had a chance to like talk to someone about the map yet. So
I was in the library when first I heard of their approach. My men-at-arms and I, a group of 4 of us originally, were simply awaiting an appointment with Administrator Lissandro. The library is here, and she motions to like kind of the big, just massive square chamber just to the north of you. And they had come in from the administration wing to the north. Since then, we believe that they had originally taken a lot of the space of the rehab area and the cafeteria and common rooms, all the northern reaches. But not long into that first day, plague after plague, the undead arrived. And they fought back against us and the apostles both. And since we had to deal with them, and then after this, the collapse and the quakes continued, the connection of the rehab wing came down. We met a few of the apostles in the southern areas as well. It's possible they hold much of what's left of the asylum.
thank you.
It's good to know we'll be fighting a cult.
Do we know when the nightmare started? Do we have a timeline for that?
I've heard a lot of various stories, but having not experienced them myself, all I can give you is secondhand information. But like everything else, it seems to have been a cascade. First the uprising, and the quakes began. The mist and the aberrant weather set in, then the undead, the demons, and the monsters. Amidst all of that came the claims of these nightmares, this tattered man that I believe you yourselves said you have seen, with his crooked razor, his yellow garb.
Often. We've seen him often.
More than I would like.
Some truly seem to believe that this fog outside the asylum is manifested in from their dreams, and they, even when they gaze out the windows or when they could, the doors, expect it to part any moment and reveal this tower in the distance, this moon, this tattered man. Some have fallen asleep and awoken in screams of agony, like they were being ripped asunder. But I can tell you, none that have slept here in this chapel have had these experiences. The Grey Lady protects. And our mother has not abandoned us. This is not the end of our fate. And although it may look bleak now, she deigns plans for us further. We will see this through.
I can only hope. It's hard to make sense of this entire situation. You also said earlier your connection, your divine font of magic, it's waning. You feel like you're losing your grasp on it, like your Parasma's blessings can't reach you.
I believe I was brought on this journey because of my proficiencies in healing magic and sorceries. But I've been able to pull forth less of them. I have not stopped in my liturgies. My belief has not waned, but my connection to the Grey Lady's power seems to be weakening. I'm not able to well up as much. What you saw at Sexton Vespers, that's near all the magic I can muster these days.
So something's blocking you.
I don't know.
I doubt Pharasma's taken an ill liking to you. You do everything right as far as I can see.
I don't know in what way I have failed. Surely whatever power entraps us here is not greater than that of the Grey Lady. So it must be a failing of my own. Penance, perhaps, a punishment for rebuking the group of you, even at the barricade. For not offering succor to those who clearly needed it, to greeting you with mistrust and accusations, for manipulating you into securing our safety against the doppelgangers.
Is she the kind of god to take issue with that?
Perhaps.
I don't know.
The first of her treaties is to render aid. We are, in more ways than one, midwives. Not just of newborns, but of souls. It's a great part of her teachings. You wandered in here with no memories, no knowledge of where you were as babes, and I turned you away. It's the only thing that makes sense. As much as I suppose anything does now.
So if you went out and sought more people to give shelter to, would your connection?
I don't know. All I can do is my best. I can pray the liturgies, I can tend to the gospel, I can work myself as the Grey Lady demands of me and provide Ephesians to her as I can. I can prostrate myself before her, beg her forgiveness. If she gives it, I will thank her for her mercy and for her understanding. If she does not, I will accept my failings as a mortal.
Oh, I think I speak for most of us when I say we have no hard feeling towards you. You made the correct decision at the time.
Yeah, you shouldn't be too hard on yourself. You're spreading yourself pretty thin here in a rough situation.
If you hear us, Grey Lady, we forgive her. You should too.
If it helps, I understand why you turned us away.
And I thank you for understanding I perhaps do not deserve. Pray do not seek to placate me with platitudes, but it's the Grey Lady's understanding I seek. Still, I am far from my element here. This is my first journey abroad. The first time I've left my priory of the Maiden's Choir up near Caliphus.
And the true test of your skill too, isn't it?
Much more than I had expected. If you will aid me, if you will help find a way into the rest of the asylum, if you will bring those who need our support, those who still have their mind, who wish to see this through, if you will bring them here so that we can grow in numbers, we can grow in strength, we can provide for each other, you'll have not just my thanks, nor the smile of the Grey Lady, but I'm certain great reward from the Royal Accusers.
Well, well, Cammy?
I think it would be our pleasure. What else are we gonna do right now? There's
All I was going to say is I think the first soul we need to help is that eye.
And as you're discussing here, at this point, Tolman has brought out his supplies, and you're interweaving this with descriptions of this girl from your dreams, clarifications. Tolman is a fairly gifted artist, starting with simple like charcoal line sketches, trying to get a general shape, a general form, as the group of you kind of guide him in his art into something resembling this girl from your dream. And this is a little bit of a dilation of real time here, as this conversation and this project of his is going to certainly take much more time than the 5 to 10 minutes we're going to give it sitting here in person, because you can't roleplay every second of every day.
I mean, you can.
You can.
Not with
That's
that
a
kind of
different
attitude,
Very much
AJ.
still be a day one.
Patron bonus. You get to see 24 hours of our characters. just being
7 to 8
in character
consecutive
the
episodes
whole
of
day.
sleeping.
Yeah.
Her nose is smaller.
But you're interspersing this with guidance to him, trying to get this together, and he is pulling something recognizable. He is starting at this point. You've probably been talking to Winter for maybe half an hour here in this hall, maybe longer. The shape is coming to something that is identifiable, at least as the girl that you have seen. Winter goes on to explain a little bit further what her backstory, why she's here, and to summarize a very long story, she had a royal accuser, which is one of the very powerful bodies in Ustalav. They are a separate entity that is not inherently beholden to the Ustalavic nobility. I'm pretty sure Ustalav is ruled by a queen. I'm honestly not 100% confident of the national.
I believe it's a monarchy.
But I'm pretty sure it's a monarchy. They are not directly beholden to the monarchy. They are almost a parallel power, an arm in many ways of the Pharazman Church. An accuser had come to the Maiden Squire Priory in Caliphus and requested aid, and the mother at the Priory had given them Winter. Winter, obviously, this is kind of a you get the information you need situation.
So royal accuser is not actually accusing you of anything?
No, that's just the title of
Okay.
that's like the FBI. It's like the Ustalav
That's what
FBI.
they want you to believe,
But,
that they're not.
She knows not exactly why she was selected, but she believes it to be because she's a very proficient healer and spellcaster. And little tongue in cheek, she had very rarely been out of the Priory, only briefly meeting with traveling with the cellarer to meet with their supplier when they needed to offsite to bring in some food. And the mother knew that she loved her small trips in the town. Maybe sent her knowing that she would just enjoy a trip abroad.
I'm sure she's enjoying herself.
She's having a great time. Wonderful
Yeah.
vacation. 10 out of 10. 5 stars on Yelp.
Better than Hawaii.
Perfect 5 out of 7?
Perfect 5 out of 7. She came to investigate, not necessarily Thrushmore, but Versex County, the greater area, because the Count of Versex, Hasserson Miles IV, has sort of absconded his duty, and it's a nobility thing. What she's here for has nothing to even do with Briarstone Asylum or any of this. Like, in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty mundane. It's like, it's Galarian. We're in Pathfinder worlds. Sometime you go outside and a chimera just flies by and eats you. I don't know how anybody is alive here, honestly.
Lesser deaths roam the fields of Taldor.
Yeah, there are just, like, the nobility just does things sometimes. Sometimes the count's just like, screw this, I'm gonna go do something else, or some personal project, or just
Every
like,
day,
things happen.
roll a d20 when you wake up. On a 1, purple
don't-
worm.
Purple worm.
They're common.
They're coming?
They're common. They're underground, but they are common. More of a dwarven problem. But anyway, all they were doing was they were coming. They had a group of a little over a dozen people that the accuser had brought together to come to Thrushmore, just because this is where the Count lives, to investigate that. And they had been sent off in different directions. The accuser and a small group had headed up to his estate to inquire after him. A couple of them went to the Citadel to ask the guards. A few had gone to a local detective agency. And she had been sent with a scribe and 2 footmen to Briarstone Asylum just to ask after a couple of patients. And just plop into this.
So was the guy that we found one of her scribes or one of her footmen based on our description of him?
It would be certainly probably one of her footmen. The scribe would not have borne a sword.
And set to investigate some patients. Do we know, like, name the which ones?
I don't know. There was apparently a couple of them had some connection with the Count and were just seeking if they had any information. Once all this is done with, once we are free of this and return to Thrushmore, I'll be seeking to return to Accuser Amari as soon as I'm able. I'll have precious little to report, but I intend to continue my task.
Geez, wasn't your file, like, wrapped in red tape or something? According
Things,
to...
yeah,
Both stay.
there you go.
Yeah, county projects, she said.
County project.
Might be worth looking at if we can get to the files.
Perhaps. And to my understanding, there are no incredible few that have been committed here for crimes and misdeeds by the county or whatever other reasons. I was looking more for people that had been sent here by the Count directly, some of his staff.
Like, for help and not as punishment.
Well, I don't know.
Sneeze wrong, get sent to Briarstone.
I was simply sent here to locate them, ask a few simple questions, and then report back if they were able to the accuser, and she would discuss with them more in depth.
What kind of questions were you going to be asking them?
Simple histories. Seeing, I suppose, that the problem could be solved rather swiftly if they knew of the Count's recent activities, if he was still at his home, if anything strange had occurred recently. Although I suppose the answer to that question is very apparent now.
So, like witnesses?
I don't know.
But that, like, the kind of questioning you'd ask a witness?
The accuser is seeking information about the disappearance of the Count, or at least his dereliction of duty, and I was quickly seeing if there's anything they would have known about the situation.
Thank you.
Politics hurt my head. That's something I've learned.
Unfortunately, I'm involved very little with that. I don't even know exactly the what or the why of the intention of the accuser. Truth be told, from much of what I've read of even just Ustalov's histories, these kind of occurrences are commonplace. Counties feud, they war, sometimes they disappear. Out east, there's an entire region known as the River Kingdoms, whose boundaries, territories, and rulers flow with the winds.
I feel like flowing with the river would also be an apt one.
I suppose that would fit better with the name of the region.
Yeah. Good one.
At this point,
You didn't say that was a joke.
It was a joke. Everyone caught on to it.
Tolman's speed, his speed with this is pretty impressive. After about an hour of these conversations, he has a simple, colored, very again identifiable, like still life reflection of what you have described to him of the nightmare. He has nothing of the scene or surroundings around it. Barest indication of the stool the girl is sat upon, but to all of you, pretty clear and recognizable depiction of her. And he turns this pad the size of a single sheet of paper that he has drawn this upon in various just chalks and pencils that he has access to. And, well, for everything you've given me so far, this appears to pretty well fit the bill. Does this look right to you?
Looks spot on to me.
The face does admittedly look familiar, but I didn't have much interaction with patients terribly often.
Can you ask those in the camp? If anyone knows who this might be?
Sure, I can take it by Nasa in Boston, see if they have any recollection. I'll be right back.
Always show it to the eye after he's done with that.
Yeah, if we have a name, though, the eye might respond favorably.
And he just kind of pops back into the chapel with the MD following along behind him, I suppose, is what that was meaning to kind of indicate there. Shuffle.
I'm taking small steps.
Tiny little steps.
6'8".
It's still 1-to-4 ratio.
Yeah.
It's like me following behind slowly.
You're seeing the bridal walk of like step together, step
Well, you know, being
together,
tall, following
step
someone who is
together.
short is very painful.
It's a lot of effort
Hate
involved.
it.
So
Tall
you
people pain.
flit through the area, and after quickly stopping by Vostin and Nasa and showing this picture, Vostin recognizes her, but the same with Tolman kind of recognizes her, like, yeah, pretty sure that was a patient. I don't know a name or anything. Nasa does. Eliza Strumith. She was a patient that had been in here for maybe 9, maybe 10 months. Had only recently been moved up into her ward. And she had a, well, what would be a unique story, I guess, if this wasn't Galarian and like we're in fantasy doom world and these things kind of happen. She had been possessed. We are not far from the world doomed here. We are in an area where sometimes errant demons do light their fancies, and she had been the puppet of a succubus for the better part of a year and had a very, very difficult time kind of coping afterwards. Sort of I guess not even sort of, it would quite literally be PTSD from this experience, and just was not able to just go back to her life. With that information in hand, the group of you arrive together again back out in front of this curtain. Tolman, having handed this little drawing pad over to the group of you, not wanting to see that eyeball ever again in his life.
Don't blame him.
Wishing you the best of luck. So again, it's just the 5 of you in Winter in the hall.
That is a terribly sad story, by the way.
It's awful.
So Eliza, it has a name. She has a name.
Sounds like it. Well, you have a plan, I suppose.
I don't know how to deal with PTSD. Comfort her, tell her it's not her fault. She's still going to believe it.
This seems like madness, trying to reason with this thing
This
that's going across the
person.
door.
We either reason with it,
You're right.
kill it, or climb up outside.
I don't like the idea of climbing. Killing seems impossible. Reasoning is our only option.
Are you ready?
As ready as I can be.
And she pulls back the curtain once again. The eye is back again to its original state. Open, looking about, flitting around. You hold
Holding
this
the
up,
picture.
and everyone it flicks to and looks at briefly, it jumps back to this painting before it just kind of stops, still quivering and jerking as it has been this whole time, but it slows a bit. Even when it was closed, it was still twitching, vibrating, spasming. This is the first you've seen the pupil almost still as it looks at this painting that Tolman has made.
Eliza, do you understand? What happened to you was not your fault. You had no control over it. It's gonna eat at you for the rest of your life. But you gotta step forward. You can't let it beat you.
As you're speaking, you can already see these tendrils that have grown out along the walls, the ceiling, the floor, starting to wither. The yellow fading out of them as they dry and rot like straw just left in the sun, almost molding. The yellow turning to brown, muddled greens as it still just is fixed on this painting you have.
I'm just gonna, I'm out of my wheelhouse here. I'm just gonna step forward once more. I'm just gonna reach my hand out and touch some part of the eyeball. It's gotta be a weird feeling, but just a comforting, this hand out. I was like, you're okay.
And your focus up close. You're up here with the painting, with this touch. The rest of you can see this thing receding and like it's visible, moving through. The yellow matted ooze around the outside of the eyeball starting to dry and crack and brown. The last thing that is left is just the eyeball itself right here in front of MD. Still just fixed, laser focused on this painting. And it looks up to you for a brief moment. And again, the pupil opens with his mouth. It's not a screaming cry this time. It is the voice from the dream before. Thank you.
Goodbye.
And it closes. And it withers. And it dies.
I'm just
And
kind of staring where it was.
See, not everything out here's bad. As strange as that was.
I don't know what to say, honestly.
Do rights for. You have no body, but
Use the art.
It
course.
seems only right.
Of course. As the thing kind of rots, the flesh of the eyeball sags and peels, flaking off of the wall behind it, bringing a good amount of the paint with it, revealing a thin veneer over a brick wall with a door set into it.
Just a normal door.
Just a door.
Okay.
I'm gonna go like to the other room and I'm gonna come back with a sheet because this thing like fell off though, right? Like there's still something there.
It is at this point, even just moments later, already just a molding heap of flesh.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
it'd
like,
been
but
left
like
here
a
for
small piece of
weeks.
fabric so that
Right.
like you can just like put on top of it because I know that like then she can do rights more calmly and then they can like move it somewhere else because I recognize that they probably none of them might want to actually touch the eye at this
Right.
point.
Now, Winter takes it, and what's left is the size of a baby. Yeah, she kind of bundles it up, folding it gently in this sheet, and opens the other of the two doors on the southern hallway. It opens to what looks like it was another office, well, maybe more of a storage room. There's quite a few crates and barrels. One side of the room with a very large set of cabinets, and across the floor, shape after shape after shape, wrapped in similar sheets, just laid side by side by side in this cemetery that Winter has made. And she lays this just like any other as the next in line. They fill about half of this wide storage room, now near a dozen figures in here wrapped about that have been interred in this mausoleum. As she lays it down, she turns to the group of you. I'll see her to the river as I would any other. You have given us a path forward, and perhaps a path out. It's the atrium is immediately beyond that door. And you need not go now if you do not wish, but I won't stop you if you will. We owe it to you that this path is clear. So if it is your want to explore, please do. And if there's a clear way, if we can be rid of this, if we can be free, please. This may be it.
Well, why wait?
I think I need to take a rest.
It's a good reason to wait, I suppose.
That would be a good reason to wait.
Do you know how far town is from the asylum? Like, are we in the outskirts of town, or are we like it's a bit of a hike?
Winter kind of turns back as she would been turning to Neil and sort of preparations. Well, Briarstone Asylum is named for Briarstone Isle upon which it sits. We're an island off the coast of Thrushmore.
Oh,
So, but there should be a dock with plenty of ships. More than enough to ferry what we have here across the way.
Yes,
And small boats, they'll need no crew. We can row ourselves. It's a journey of minutes, not hours.
One of us had to be a pirate before, so we'll be okay. Well, there's like 5 of us, so one of us had to be something good. Like,
Are there that many pirates in Galarian?
probably.
1 in 5 people are pirates.
That's statistically
The idea that
insane.
Cammy is just
That
like, one of us
five-
is a pirate, one of us is a baker, one of us is
One of
a
us is a
dog
doctor.
catcher.
Doctor.
Like, that's like 20% of
cultist.
everyone. Yeah, like,
Dr. Cultist.
that's like whatever. That's the makeup of Galarian.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. I guess that's one benefit of having no memory. We can be whatever you want us to be, Cammy. You can write a story about us all you want. We can.
That is an excellent idea. I'm pretty sure that I was a best-selling author in my past life.
I'm
So
pretty sure you were. I'm going to make my way back into the sanctuary, and I'm going to go find Tolman.
Okay.
I'm sure he's not hard to find.
Yeah, not hard. As you head in, it's getting into the evening. People are spreading out to their various just kind of spots that they have things brought together. Now, thanks to your assistance, everybody having something to sleep on, everybody having enough to make at least a couple of layers of cloth on the ground, something to use as blankets. Those who were sleeping just on the hard floor no longer have to do that. Tolman is, as soon as you step into the chapel, immediately just kind of standing right in front of the door. And the fact that you open the door, he starts and kind of scrambles back. Oh, sorry. Did it work? I didn't hear any screaming, so I mean that's a positive for dealing with that thing.
You performed a feat of miracles.
I
You
made a drawing.
you brought image to a memory, and you gave a poor soul respite with it.
Well,
You had no small part in any of this. And honestly, I just wanted to say I'm very impressed, and what you did is something I want to learn how to do.
well, if you should be thanking anyone, I suppose it should be Shaylin. I owe all of my gifts to her, after all.
Shaylin is, and I'm going to reach in my pocket. This,
Well, yes, indeed. The goddess of arts and music and love and song,
beauty.
beauty. Yes.
Well, then, do you have any advice for someone learning how to draw?
I can give you the same advice that I've given many a youngster that's asked after some of my art. Just do it.
Can I? Yeah, like I'm just gonna reach over and be like, do you still have your equipment on you?
Of course.
Yeah.
We've unfortunately not quite the assessment that I would like to have, but we've got a couple of paints, some chalks, pencils, plenty of paper.
I'm just gonna like take some charcoal and some paper and be like, you haven't actually tried to draw anything since we remember, and just hand it to you.
I'm going to draw a picture now. It's-
Group picture.
yeah.
I will give you the choice. I don't know if you're trained in crafting or not. I don't remember. You can roll craft if you want, or you can just roll a flat d20. It is up to you
We'll do it flat d20. I like flat
how
d20.
this comes out. Give me just a flat 20.
You know what?
Yeah.
Art hero point. Art hero point.
This is what we're using our hero points for, kids. Art.
Chanting
Thank you,
always
Kaga.
works. Chanting always works. Chanting always works.
It's an
Okay,
8 both times.
Oh my gosh.
Oh well, the fate has that one decided clearly. So I mean, 8 is like it's something.
It's a doodle.
You clearly, if you have any formal training or practice, that's gone with your memories. It's. What are you trying to draw?
Why
don't you tell me what you draw? You know how good an 8 is in a scale of 1 to 20.
It's not like a, yeah, so 4 out of 10.
So you tell me what you draw.
It's really hard for me to imagine anything to draw right now with everything going on. Looking down at myself, I've seen my face and I've seen my scars. That's just like the first thing that I'm going to try to draw from memory what I know of myself. I'm going to try to draw from memory of the scars on my arm because that's something clearly important to who I am and my identity was. So it's just me just trying to copy that out of memory, and it's poor, to say the least. I can get the dots down. The dots are easy.
Tolman just kind of like, oh yeah, hands get everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like hold it. Like, That is a weird thing. Perception.
It's surprisingly difficult to put to paper, isn't it?
It really is.
You'd think it'd be, well, given its structure and its clear points, much simpler, but it's terribly difficult to make it look natural.
What if I just hid the hands in a pocket? Or put them behind the back?
It's a common strategy. Or don't draw them at all.
It's also good.
Many artists just simply have the arms ending at the forearm, out of frame, or just simply no longer there. Behind the tree, behind the bench, behind their back or their pockets.
That's good advice. I like that.
But for someone just starting out, honestly, this is pretty good. And I'm not just saying that. This shows real talent. If you spend some time honing this, I think you could produce something incredible.
Well, I can't wait to show you, so don't die.
Well,
Oh my god.
I think we've been through the worst of it now.
Well, another pathway's open, so we don't know. Could get worse.
Wait, it worked?
Yes, Elijah
yeah.
is resting now. She's gone.
Oh,
Oh, you didn't catch that? That was why he was complimenting you.
I suppose it makes sense, but I don't know. I guess I couldn't let myself believe that something had actually worked with that thing. That there could be progress. Okay,
It was
well,
it was a person.
Turns
that
out-
person was Eliza.
Sometimes just talking can solve a problem. You don't just have to brute force everything.
that's fantastic. Well, that means we can leave, right? It's admissions right there. That's the front door.
Winter's the one to talk about.
That means there's
don't
cold.
get promises from us.
Well, I suppose we. I don't know if the have they
Talk
told
to,
you
not talk about.
have they told you about the apostles? I don't know if
Yes.
they're still out there, but well, this is great news. We just ready ourselves, and then come the morning, whatever stands between us and the front door. Well, you killed what 3 face stealers?
Yeah, we plan on exploring the rest of the asylum, at least through those doors in the morning first.
And there's still boiling rain, and if there's monsters here,
Let's
who knows what's
let's
in
just
the water.
celebrate
Yeah.
good things.
just
There's
Small
a,
victories.
there
friend.
is there's a path forward. Winter will likely be the person who ultimately decides when everyone leaves, and probably keep the eye thing under wraps so that there's not a mad rush.
Well, if nothing else, there should be plenty of usable supplies that we can get to, and well, maybe there may be more out there that aren't other than just the apostles. I imagine that. Well, I don't know. I suppose I'm just my mind runs wild with possibilities.
It is exciting. It's incredibly exciting.
At this point,
And
is
it's entirely possible we'll need your services again, because who knows how many of the. She was a patient here. There could be 5 more. We don't know.
you hear another voice kind of come and go, wait, oh my gods, we can leave? The door's open?
No.
Not yet.
And you, from a distance away, basically just kind of like calling this out as she hurries over, this huge smile on her face. But wait, you got rid of the eye?
Yes, but the door is not open. In fact, it's still very much closed.
It's jammed.
Gonna have to climb up outside.
I will literally roll a deception check for that.
Throw me a deception check.
That is going to be a 20. 18. Sorry.
18. Oh, well. I mean, well, God, certainly that's got to be less a problem than the eyeball.
Well, the rain likes to boil, so.
The rain is pretty much on fire, yeah.
Well, we can find something. We can put something over our heads, find an umbrella, a
We're gonna
bigger
find a-
umbrella. We can have a couple umbrellas.
We'll find a clear route in the morning.
And
We
Coleman-
can't find plates, but you're just oozing umbrellas? What do you got so many umbrellas for?
Coleman just kind of puts a hand up, just basically on Baisley's waist, because that's all he can reach, because he can't get to her shoulder. He is very small. Well, now, there's a great number of possibilities, but hopefully here in the morning we'll have some answers. Well, why don't you try to get some rest? And she just kind of smiles and says, oh, yeah, okay. And sort of turns and just like wanders right back over like nothing happened.
So, what is her story?
Well, she was one of the patients, I know that much. Very impressionable young sort. Had a couple of issues with sleepwalking in the past. It's honestly half the reason we still have the night guard. It's as much for her as it is the face stealers. To make sure she doesn't wander off and get lost.
Well then. Interesting.
But come, my advice to her is advice to you as well. You've done a lot for us. And you've only been here for one day. Yeah, you have. You don't even know who we are. But
Well, you're Tolman. I know that.
You know a name.
I know as much about you as I do myself.
We know more about you guys than we do.
That's a fair comparison, I suppose. We should get some rest. You brought back plenty of bedding. We can make something comfortable. We've got plenty of space over here. And with that, Tom will be more than happy to help the group of you bring whatever you need, arrange a more comfortable area to sleep, and, well,
Just get him some dirt and a rock.
nothing left to do but wait until morning.
No, that's me. I can sleep on a dirt and a
That's
rock.
what I said. I pointed at you and said that.
And the good
Not my
sleep
character, me.
will be. Everybody, make me a flat check.
Oh, beans.
Now roll
Colby is fine.
No.
I am not.
You don't know that.
19.
You want to trade?
I'll trade you. Can we trade?
Can we
I
trade?
have the hero point.
I'll take the 6. You get
I
the
got a
19.
6.
Okay, I got a 13. I originally got a 4. and
Somebody
made it
quick, give me a
13.
hero point. I'll re-roll the
13.
19 right now.
You lose 1 stress.
Got an 18.
18, you lose 1 stress.
19.
19, you lose 1 stress.
Wait, did you re-roll?
No.
No.
I wanted to re-roll
A
the 19.
6.
I
6,
don't have a hero.
Oh.
you're still stressed.
Also,
Oh, I thought at least I don't
6,
get.
6
Oh
you
my
lose
God.
1 stress.
Also, 13.
Really?
Easy.
13.
13, you lose 1 stress. Everyone loses.
Yeah.
Oh, so DC 5 was in my head. I kind of want to give you the failure because it feels illegal to make 6 succeed, but like
It does.
sleeping.
We're in the chapel.
Yeah, sleeping in the chapel.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, you sleep. You sleep well. You have no nightmares. In fact, you have no dreams at all. You lay down, you get comfortable, you close your eyes, and you are simply gone.
Well, like, good, because otherwise everyone in the chapel would be not.
They would
Same.
all be flesh
But
I
you,
know that sleep personally when I have to wake up.
it's
at-
a stress relieving sleep,
like
is
when
what
you
it
wake up,
is.
like the other week I woke up at 1:30, went to work, then came here and got home at like 9.
Just-
Laid in bed and was gone for 10 hours.
Yep.
And when you awake in the morning, comfortable, warm, well rested, in a place of some safety among what seem to be fast becoming friends, it is comfortable. It is relieving. It feels good. We return. Well, we have an entire asylum before us. Admissions and the front door are literally right around the corner. There is more, perhaps, to be found here. If we are patients, surely there's records. At least one of us seems to have been. Might be able to learn something of our pasts. Regardless, at least 2, right?
Yes.
You knew a little bit here. So, beyond that, the situation outside is a mystery. We've heard tales of undead. Of course, there's these face stealers. There's this new threat, these apostles in Opermit. Seemingly religious fanatics dedicated to the cause of this Xandalus. Orman is still here in the chapel as well. He seems to have assimilated in as well as he can. He still doesn't really talk. But who has taken a strange and fast liking to him is Mira. And even by that first evening, she is less often alone or with Bates and more hanging out with Orman, seemingly slowly trying to teach him little bits of science, something he seems readily excited about. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be here. Well, we will be here, but Strange Aeons is not going to be here next week. I'm going to be out of town, but if you come by Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, at the usual time in our usual place, with a lot of these usual faces, you are going to find some other entertainment here instead. We are going to have a one-shot adventure. We're going to take the horrible, absolute misery that is Strange Aeons, put it aside for a moment, and just have an undeniably good time running a wacky heist.
Woo!
The entire party is going to be rogues. They are going to be 11th level, so we have access to some cool rogue toys, and we're going to steal some stuff.
Everything.
If it ain't bolted down.
And we're going to steal your heart.
Our
Yeah.
But
Tech
not me. I won't be
Production
there.
Arcadis is going to be in this seat, running an adventure, and it sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun. So don't worry, we've still got some Pathfinder shenanigans for you next week. And then we'll return the week after with Strange Aeons level 2 and an opportunity to get to possibly do some real stuff with it as we head out of the maintenance wing and start to get to explore anything.
An opportunity?
We're done now. Good night, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
This is what I live for. that face.
Pain.
I have the best reaction so far.